Welcome to Crypto Kid Podcast. Today I have a special guest, Constantine. He co-founded BullPerks and GamesPad, and today we're going to be talking about his new ventures in blockchain technology. I believe he's helping his friend out. And yeah, man, why don't you tell my audience about the journey of the crypto world and digital assets and what got you into this space?
Yes, I am helping my friend out in a way. Yes, I'm a partner in TDVC and the CEO in TDX. I've just joined. It's part of the trader group, and we've been friends with Gaurav Dubey for probably I think about more than 7 years so far, right? Um, what brought me to digital assets? I started my career as a trader. I was trading commodities and futures, mostly grain. I was originally from Ukraine, so that's why for us the risk of losing all crop or like any force majeure of the government seizing your goods was very high. So that's why we decided to hedge our positions on Chicago Board of Trade, and that helped me to understand how the future contracts options are working. Like, and I got very quickly into Forex, and that's how I discovered what is Bitcoin. I was advised by my friend just to buy them. I bought 5 Bitcoins in about like 2013, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and yeah, that was entire like journey from there. So basically we evolve, I think, in a way that we try to learn like something like, but we have to participate, right? When I theoretically read about it, I didn't understand anything, to be quite frank. Like when I started to trade, I made some money, then I lost some money. That's when I really started to understand what it is about, and I understood that it's not just a speculative asset, that it's much more. It's a phenomenal idea. It's a revolutionary idea that can actually change, for good or for worse, many things. But I think most of it is for good. It was fascinating for me that it provides the ability to basically exchange value without touching any banks or any custodians, you know, any any intermediaries in from the traditional financial world. Yeah, and then the rest is history. I've been doing a lot of things in between, like mostly investing in projects, and I was part of the first fund of funds in crypto space, and I was part of an institutional hedge fund. As you mentioned, co-founded several projects and advised multiple. That gave me, I would say, like a very hands-on experience of what this industry is about.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, you got into Bitcoin in the early days. I know when I found out about it was like 115 for Bitcoin. I think that was like 2011 or 12. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that's pretty cool that you're also from Ukraine. Do you go back and forth since the wars happened, or are you able to like give friends and family like money in Bitcoin that needed help?
Uh, yeah, they don't need right now money in Bitcoin. They need money and in hard cash, I would say, right?
Mm.
So am I able to do it? Yes. Did I do it? No, because I think the level of education of I would say our parents' generation is still different with technology, so it's just a little bit complicated for them to navigate wallets and basically like safeguard their private keys, like to so but I should say Ukraine before the war was one of the biggest crypto hubs in the world. And we're talking about not just like speculative aspect of things, like it had more than 180,000 blockchain developers. So
Mm.
all the big ecosystems that we know, like including Ethereum, Solana, Tezos, Cardano, and many other like big ecosystems, they had like huge development houses in Ukraine. So with tremendous engineering background and post-Soviet Union legacy of just being very good in coding, right, and solving engineering tasks. I think that was a amazing kind of platform for bigger companies to educate very good breed of blockchain developers.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. I just interviewed somebody from Bitsy Club, and he's flying out to Ukraine, and he's gonna. I was like, whoa, dude! I didn't know you guys had workers out there still working, still doing projects. He's like, yeah, man, got to stay busy. I was like, all right, but you've been involved in various projects, like you said earlier, ventures with crypto industries. Could you highlight some of the most significant ones and share what motivated you to start them?
Well, I don't know if I can pinpoint the most significant one, because quite frankly, in different periods of my life, every project that I was involved was significant to me, right? So
Mm-hmm.
even though it was not always like, very lucrative from the monetary perspective, but I think like when I started in my first fund of funds in 2017, BitBull Capital, like, I didn't earn a lot of money. I was just like learning a lot. But after due diligencing like different hedge funds and looking at their strategies, I think that gave me this bird's eye view of how the industry works, right? And the hierarchy of different players. And yeah, I was very grateful for this experience. And as I mentioned later, like I've advised many companies and regarding tokenization, the 2018 STO era. Then in 2021, 2020, 2021, I joined Wave Financial, which is an institutional grade conglomerate. They have several hedge funds, index fund, derivative fund, like they have two VC funds that have a registered investment advisor license, so they can take like assets under management and do liquidity provision of wealth management. So that was a very, very different experience that I didn't have before. I was never part of like traditional institutional financial industry. I was mostly working with startups.
Mm-hmm.
And that was valuable for me to learn, right? All of those experiences helped me to learn. And I failed many startups, so I don't want to even mention them, but like, some of them were but some of them also were like exceptionally important for me to learn. Like we raised money, we failed at some point, and now when I'm building products, this is my experience I'm bringing to the table, right? I now know what not to do, and which is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes even more important than to know what to do.
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. I'm the same way, man. I've started businesses and I failed pretty badly at them, but it's like you said, you got to learn from your mistakes and build off that. And also, most importantly, like the the people with experience say that learn off other people's mistakes too, so you don't repeat them, so you don't do them yourselves. So I think that's like the most wisest thing that someone has shared with me. Now, we talked a little bit about BullPerks and GamePad. Did they have blockchain technology um, implemented into them, or not really?
Oh, well, just to clarify, when an established founded like BullPerks, it was it's a decentralized VC and a multi-chain launchpad. In layman terms, when we say decentralized VC, basically we had our own funds that we invested in projects, and we did a small raise of $2 million, right? And that was for token. The token was serving the basically like a tier, like think about it as an access to an investment club in a way, right? When Launchpad might be unknown term for people who are not crypto friendly, but all people from degens from Web3 community, they know that this is essentially is a crowdfunding platform for early stage blockchain projects. So we had obviously smart contracts in our product. So we had a fully fledged crowdfunding platform, and we needed to integrate wallets. We had vesting like product, like which helps us to distribute the allocations, and making sure that they have cliff, which is when you miss their allocation, or you have, let's say, linear vesting for 6 months, for example, which is
Mm-hmm.
gradually distributed when people claim their tokens. We had multiple other like blockchain integration, but to be completely transparent, most of it was kind of like a mix, right? So there's a lot of like traditional, like, Web 2 code, which was, just deployed in a user-friendly fashion. Um, and for this node, I should say there's not many truly decentralized products in the world right now. Like even if you talk about like DAOs, like if you start going into the depth, like, some of them are controlled by very few whales and wallet holders who can make decisions without asking anyone else. So I think we're very early on with this experiments, and we sometimes need just a qualified operators to make sure the business is being, like successful and that you're running it the way it should be run and not creating chaos when um, lots of people have different opinions, and that can destroy projects.
For sure, for sure. And going back to what you said about not being fully decentralized, I was watching this documentary about a guy who did a Bitcoin heist for like $3 billion worth, and it was just like a insane amount. And when I first started, I thought it was like you could remain anonymous and no one's ever going to find out. You could be rich without anybody knowing. And then lo and behold, like the FBI, the IRS, and some other special agents were looking, and they were actually tracking this guy, and they were just like waiting for him. They had like certain techniques that they couldn't say to the public, but
Yes.
they just like when he came out, like when he finally slipped, because the way that he slipped was someone ended up breaking in his house and stealing like $400,000 worth of cash, and he reported it to the police, and it was just like that's just when they were able to get their foot in the door. They were literally went into this house like, hey man, they like lured him in like, hey, we want to help you. Who stole your money? Who broke in your house? And really, he was being under investigation, and that was just crazy. I was like, yeah, so it's not really someone's watching. Like you think you're no one's watching, but someone's always listening or watching and keeping tabs on what you're doing for sure.
Well, yeah, I'm familiar with this, like there's a lot of opportunities, like, to stay anonymous, but I think one of the mistakes people conduct, they think they're smarter than the regulators, like,
Mm-hmm.
and um, you're mentioning like, the Georgia man pleaded that
Yeah, Jimmy.
yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think this is a great example of like also like how people in the United States, like they miss like they don't realize that the most of the investigations and how they're being done, and actually I have my own YouTube channel, so I actually talked to an amazing person who worked in DOJ, like, and she just explained me how it's done. It's most of the people are caught when they're doing crypto to fiat transactions, right? So that's like a very easy way to find someone, like, especially or if you're touch like centralized exchange. So from there, you're no longer anonymous, right? And like, yeah, people think that they're smarter than everyone else, but guess what? No. Especially we have Chainalysis or Coinbase that have like tremendous amount of money and tremendous amount of data that they can track. It's on chain. It's actually more traceable than traditional markets.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, in your opinion, what is the biggest challenges currently facing the crypto industry, and how do you envision overcoming them?
Well, there's a lot of challenges. To be honest, I think one of the biggest challenges that we don't talk a lot about is just like scammers, exactly that, like following the previous statement that you've made. Like, there are a lot of folks who think that they can scam others and then get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to point out that we've seen a lot of projects that, they raise money, whether it's 5 million, 10 million, whatever the amount is. And then they think, okay, well, we don't even need to build products. We're going to disappear. Well, guess what? First of all, we have fiduciary responsibility towards your investors and your community.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, you can do it only once. There's some people who like did it in one season and they've been advisors on all decks and they made so much money, like, from scamming here and there, like, or destroying projects. Well, it is possible. I just want to say, like, it is possible, right? Because it's a huge decentralized international business. But I truly believe that you can do it only once on a big scale. Next time, you're going to be either in jail or you're going to be blacklisted from any good project. Because if I believe in energy. I believe if have a good heart and you bring the light, the good to the world, like, it's like a boomerang that comes back to you, and vice versa, right? It's the same exact thing, like,
Mhm.
um, because the technology is open source. It's available for a lot of people to do incredible things and change the world for the better place. But the same way, some people think that, because they're smart and they actually understand this technology, so they can go and use it to take advantage of others. Um, Four of my friends recently were actually part of popular scam that is going on right now, when they basically mimic an exchange or an investment platform, and they ask you, oh, invest like $500 or $1,000, and then they show the UI like that you made already 30% just in one day or in one week. Give us some more cash. And eventually people like give out like sometimes tens of thousands of dollars or like all their savings. And as
Mhm.
you can imagine, when they try to withdraw these money, like nothing is there. And the scam is like basically they always ask you to add more money to kind of participate in, like it's a pyramid, obviously. And the saddest part, they're very talented, like in the way they conduct this, because you have to build a website, you have to actually have a good sales skills, you have to actually understand the technology, etc., right? You can go ahead and create a legitimate project, like, and for some reason, like people decide, oh, you know what? No, I will apply this knowledge and mislead someone. That's to me, honestly, is the saddest part, like the dark part of our industry, that it exists and it would be unfair to say it doesn't. And at the same time, there are like incredible people who are committed throughout the years, like a
Mhm.
decade long, like commitment, building product, trying, speaking at the conferences, contributing to the community, all their, time and effort. So, um, other than that, like it's just like thinking we need time. Some of the aspects of crypto is just like very early, like in the very nascent. So we're 15 years old as an industry. In the
Mhm.
world of financial history, like that's nothing. Like so, I think the fact that we're already surpassed like the mark of being like in like what $2.6 trillion in like an entire asset class, like that's already like impressive.
For sure, for sure. And like with El Salvador, bringing it in as their currency is a huge move because that means that other countries are going to follow suit. Like where you were saying about like scamming and things like that. I'll give you an example of what happened to me. I do Facebook Marketplace, but the only currency I take is cryptos, and a lot of people are saying like you sound like a scammer. The only reason why I'm asking for them to download the app and do it is to get them involved, like get them into it. And I'll personally be there to meet up with them. But like, yeah, like the scammers just gave a bad name for cryptocurrencies because a lot of people are thinking like it's not trustworthy. Like there's a lot of things like with FTX, things that happen with what's his name? Sigmund Floyd. But things like that. And yeah, do you have any thoughts about that or also, when's the next time that Ukraine? When do you think Ukraine's going to adopt cryptocurrency as their nation's asset?
I don't think it's even on the agenda right now. I think right
No.
now people are trying to survive there and just to win the war, and then from there, like rebuild the country, right? Even though Ukraine is one of the most advanced countries in terms of blockchain adoption. See, to comment a little bit on El Salvador and like Bukele, President Bukele, I met him actually at one of the conferences, and I I met several of his ministers, like it's incredible what they did. Like, and to accept Bitcoin as a legal tender in the country, I think it's a very smart move. However, I should say I don't think it's a smart move for every country. I think it works with a smaller country with an economy that is allowing you to kind of offset certain risks, like, but I'm not sure it's doable with a country with much bigger economy. It's questionable. There are a lot of like nuances that you have to take into account, and also depends on what scale, right? A smaller amounts. I mean, Ukraine, by the way, is right now one of the biggest Bitcoin holders as a country
Mhm.
already without adopting it. I have to look at the stats, but I definitely top 10, certainly top 10. People started to mine Bitcoin, like, in Ukraine, probably starting in 2011, 12. So that was one of the first country that actually adopted this. Um, but does it require to have a legal, like Bitcoin as a legal tender? I don't think so, especially not now. Do I think more smaller countries will adopt it eventually? Yes, I think it will happen, and it will be pretty interesting experiment, predominantly socioeconomical, and I predict it will be obviously with emerging markets, countries with hyperinflation. For them, it makes much more sense to do that.
For sure it does. So, as CEO at TDX, could you elaborate on the platform's goals and how it aims to crowdfunding and engagement within the crypto community? Also, um, what's coming out for them that people could hear first on Crypto Kid podcast, if you don't mind sharing?
Of course. So thank you for the question. So TDX, it's a crowdfunding platform at its heart, right? And I tend to say that like it's going to be not just crowdfunding platform, it's going to be an investment platform. The reason being, I think, you know, after building BullPerks and GamesPad, which also are crowdfunding platform is at its core, and obviously one is just more generalist, another is more gaming oriented, as you can imagine from the name. We also built our NFT marketplace. So I've learned a lot from these experiences. And I should say everything that has a token itself is already has a particular like challenging onboarding dilemma. Because think about it like, on bull market, when everything is growing, like people are very keen on buying your token, staking it, and actually becoming a member, investing in projects, right? So, but that's like 5 to 6 steps, like to even onboard one client. It's a pretty tedious, like, process. Now, with traditional platforms, right, it's like 2 or 3 clicks, right? And then you already invest in a project. So I think that's very different what we do in TDX. We remove the token component to make it faster and easier for the user experience, number one. Number two, because of the trader group, it has different divisions. As I mentioned, we have a venture arm, we have a research arm,
Mm-hmm.
we have an event management arm, and like an incubator. So we can actually incubate our own projects, right? Not necessarily just completely our own, but we can help existing projects that are maybe having like some challenges in marketing or fundraising or something like, onboarding the right team members, etc., or building their tokenomics, market making, that we all can handle. And because we have experience of managing hundreds of projects, we do it not just because this is how we feel, like because we based it already on the best practices. And that's what differentiates us. We all come from different backgrounds. Like we're now having an amazing team from people like from different, like really different backgrounds. Traders, quantitative traders, engineers, like, financial specialists. So we all come together. The entire group is more than 150 people.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have amazing resources. We do have amazing networks, specifically in Dubai, Southeast Asia, like, Europe. Now I'm building like, North America presence and South America presence. And I think that's one of the major differentiator. From the functionalities, we do have an interesting AI-based social shout out, which will allow people not only to make like just to invest and make money, but also like to just by activity to earn points and earn money, and also have we're thinking right now the algorithm to provide them better opportunities for the allocation based on their performance. So think about the meritocracy concept when people, they're like the loyal customers who are engaged more in the
Hmm.
product, they're rewarded more. After reviewing 100 plus platforms like this, I've never seen like this particular feature and this angle, how people look at the projects. So I think with this, with affiliate program, when people can obviously earn more, with many other features, we're now in the middle of revamping. This is exclusive material for you. We're in the middle of completely rebranding. And I think
Nice.
in 1 to 2 months, we will be definitely like, on a very, very different level. And the goal would be to raise, tickets like, starting from 200K to 500 to maybe up to 1 million and more.
Wow. Yeah. Whoever's listening better sign up and get involved with this amazing product in this project. Now, I understand that you have a busy schedule. Is there any events that you're going to be at that people could like meet and greet and talk to you more personally about how to get started with your company?
For sure. Yeah, I will. NFT and YC, I'm speaking at April 4th. So if you're in New York, please come. I would be happy to meet you there. Then I'm flying to Paris. We're hosting an event there. We're gonna spend about a week, in a Paris Blockchain Week. Then we're going to Dubai. There's gonna be three major conferences there. So, and yeah, and then I'm contemplating whether it's gonna be Hong Kong or just directly India. So, yeah, it's gonna be busy. April is gonna be crazy month. But if you're listening and you're in one of those locations, please DM me. Feel free to reach out either in Twitter or in LinkedIn or like, whatever you find fit, have my website. So doesn't really matter. Like, I'm responsive in all different platforms. Yeah.
And all those links will be in the description down below. And I understand you're also an author. Are you going to be, you want to promote your book real quick or?
I haven't finished it, so I cannot promote it.
Oh, okay.
I'm a contributor writer to multiple publications, including Entrepreneur, Cointelegraph, CoinDesk, and Benzinga, and many others. Um, I started the first chapter, to be quite frank. It's not easy. It's a lot of work because somewhere deep down in my heart, I'm perfectionist. So I'm trying to see and find a publisher like first and to kind of align our goals. I've never done this before, so it's a new process
Mhm.
for me. But I wrote multiple research papers. I'm actually probably going to finish another research paper. And what I can say, I was invited to read a lecture for MBA students in Tel Aviv University, which hopefully is going to be confirmed in August. So I'm trying to kind of help others to from educational perspective without a book yet, and eventually, hopefully, I will finish my book.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it. Now, before we close, is there you feel like anything with it and share that you want to go over real quick, or how do you feel?
Um, I think yeah, we talked about a lot of things. I just want to encourage probably someone who is still new to the industry, that just like whatever is going to happen to you, even if you like buy in the highest level and then like the prices go down because have a 4 year cycle. I implore you to look into this, like, patterns, and pattern recognition is super important in any investments. So it's an important skill. So don't be dissuaded. Don't be discouraged. Just continue, grind, and learn and read. There's a lot of amazing people, like who are providing free content. Like Cryptic is one of them. So please just make sure that you continue, and eventually, I'm sure you're gonna find your way. And if you want to stay in this industry, there's a lot of amazing people who will support you. just go into the local meetup or just connect online with people, ask for help, whether you're a developer, marketing person, or you're just an enthusiast and you're a trader, whatever. Like just continue. And that's, I think, the path of success, and eventually you will outperform others.
For sure, man. Hey, it's been an honor, and I know you're a busy guy. And thanks for coming on the show, bro. And good luck with your endeavors.
Thank you so much. Thank you.